of Esquire Bank Studios.
This hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Did you, as a Democrat, invoke the founders? Squirrel, you know what we have here with these American traitors? These sloths dragging down society in everywhere they're in charge?
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
See, the founders went to war with you. You, the American Democrat. You, the American Marxist communist, the American welfare roach, the American corrupt judges, the American corrupt politicians. They went to war with you. You don't get to pretend that you're in tune, in sync, or have any idea what people who said, we're going to go to war with the most efficient, the most feared military on the planet because they raised our taxes, because they're corrupt, because the politicians they put here are in sync, and they're persecuting people who speak out against liberty and freedom. The founding fathers in this country is diametrically opposed to everything the American Democrat truly represents, which is exactly what the fat-ass king represented. The only difference between the fat-ass king and John Ossoff or any other Democrat is that he felt he was entitled because of birth. Well, wait a minute. Then there is no difference between you and him.
Just think, 250 years on, what the founders would see if they visited us today. They'd see that slavery had been abolished. They'd see that Americans without land and then women and then the descendants of slaves had secured voting rights. They'd see that our science and technology propelled human knowledge to unimaginable heights, and that those 13 colonies had grown into a superpower that defeated the Nazis and communism.
All to lose to socialism, communism, and corruption right here, but only in Democrat areas. John Ossoff is from Fulton County, Georgia. Fulton County, Georgia makes Cook County, Illinois, look legitimate. Same fraud. Same waste, same money scandals. John Ossoff is a fraud.
They'd see a pluralist democracy, people of all colors descended from every point on earth, stitched together out of many nations into one. But they'd also see a nation that at the height of its wealth and power fell into the very traps they most feared.
Now, is he talking about Obamacare? Is he talking about Social Security? Is he talking about welfare abuse? Is he talking about illegal aliens stealing entitlements nobody's entitled to? Is that what he's talking about?
Consumed by bitter conflict between factions captured by special interests, losing touch with the great national spirit that defeated fascism, with the spirit that landed men on the moon and passed civil rights laws.
Oh, God. It's hard to listen, though, isn't it? Because this is what the trick of the fraud, the American scoundrel. The same people who invokes liberty, invokes principles to take them away. The American communist, the anti-American Democrat. This is what they do. Aside from bore you to death, this is exactly how the speech goes.
They'd see that we did those great things.
Who's we? This is the other thing I got a problem with. You mean Americans did those great things? There's no we. In fact, where there is a we is where the Democrats destroy the quality of life and get away with it and use that failure and use that fraud as weapons against people who still manage to make money. That's the we he speaks of. The we is anywhere Democrats are in charge of anything.
Fulton County made a stunning admission about the 2020 election. After almost 5 years of assuring voters all procedures were followed, it turns out that may not be entirely true. Now they face some steep fines from the state elections board.
Fines, but they stole an election. John Ossoff is an oligarch in Fulton County. He's a guy who's going to lecture you from one of the most corrupt areas in this country.
But this isn't the world I want to leave them. Soon enough, they'll learn there's now plastic in human blood and breast milk.
Huh?
That toxic forever chemicals are in half the country's drinking water. Eva loves animal documentaries, and she'll learn that the butterflies are dying off.
He's talking about his kids. The rare thing about Democrats when they're heterosexual. And what he's advocating is the very government regulation that made all of this possible. You see, it's all the government EPA, all the government corrupt bureaucrats like Fauci that allow all of this to go on. The Environmental Protection Agency doesn't protect the environment. They just make you pay to pollute. All littered with corrupt bureaucrats like the Democrats.
She'll ask me why I allowed these things to happen.
Boring.
She'll learn about the nuclear weapon if it still threatened annihilation. And when you step back and consider it, the situation is absurd. Tech titans dig bunkers and warn us the new intelligence they're training could lead to mass joblessness or human extinction, and our Congress debates ballrooms and youth sports.
See, the fascism that makes this a debate, there is no debate. There is no debate about men in bathrooms with women and playing girls, but there's no fracking debate. This is all a creation of the Democrat, who will then invoke contempt. And the accusation goes on, I don't want to make you listen anymore to this idiot. The accusation goes on that Trump isn't capable of being the president. As they admit openly, this country was led by a Politburo. As they admit openly. In the meantime, they're going to ask Donald Trump because Ossoff, John without an H, thinks he's an actor. John without an H and other Democrats are the ones obstructing every aspect of any kind of achievement in this country.
President, yesterday John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harp, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response, John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things. We're building a great facility here. We're fixing.
And they negate the fact that Barack Obama did the same fracking thing from the reflection pool to the White House construction, all of it. They negate the fact, and later to go on to give innuendo that Donald Trump isn't capable because of his age is to really sway the attention from where every American should be focused, not just on the fact that Joe Biden stole the election in 2020 in these crooked counties represented by Ossoff and other Democrat thieves, but that Joe Biden knowingly and openly had a cover-up go on as unelected bureaucrats, 25-year-old commies, ran the country for 4 years after they stole the election in Fulton County and other Democrat ghettos.
I would say the right-wing meme about Joe Biden was that Dr. Joe Biden was sort of the shadow president and sort of running the country. What your book shows is that that's not totally far off. It's not Jill Biden, though. It's this group of tight advisors around Joe Biden who I want you to talk about that you call the Politburo, which is an interesting word choice. Tell me about the word choice, and then tell me about those people who were really calling the shots around the president.
So the Politburo, not a term we came up with, it's a term from within the Biden administration, as the name would suggest, is a tightly held group of senior advisors. Mike Donnellan and Steve Ricchetti foremost among them. You also have individuals floating in and out. Ron Klain, who's chief of staff for the first couple of years of the president's term.
What would the founders say, Ossoff? You fracking scoundrel! You fraud! You self-enriching, self-aggrandizing, anti-American traitor! You want to invoke the founders? I just want to make sure. When you invoke the founders, are you going to fill them in at how you stole the election right there in Fulton County.
Fulton County made a stunning admission about the 2020 election. After almost 5 years of assuring voters all procedures were followed, it turns out that may not be entirely true. Now they face some steep fines from the state elections board.
Fines? You stole 4 years of every American citizen. Illegitimate Joe Biden. And the Democrats ran wild. What would the founders say about the money stolen in your fiefdoms? What would they say about pick one? How you run an election? What would the founders say about election theft?
Christian Castro is not above the law. And
ask them for their name and address. Do not ask a voter to look at the roster themselves to locate their name. Do not ask them to see an identification card. However, if a voter presents identification, thank the voter and inform them that an identification card is not required if they are registered. This announcement is not only for the voter in front of you, but for other voters in line who should not feel required to produce an identification card.
Minnesota, the election training video shown to poll workers to allow the plausible acceptability of fraudulent voters. These are the people that stole elections and steal them to this day.
Learned the group behind undercover videos recorded on primary day visited at least 15 Minneapolis polling places. Secretary of State Steve Simon is defending Minnesota's voter vouching law, saying the videos leave out key safeguards in the process. But he also acknowledges those safeguards aren't foolproof.
Now, here's the other thing the founders wouldn't tolerate. The bureaucracies that you're protecting with these fraudulent elections. The bureaucracies that plan and tell the public they're doing something, and they take tremendous amounts of money. And what do they really do? Let's stick in Minnesota. Minneapolis. They've got an entire multi-billion-dollar scheme for low-income housing, where you tax the decent in the name of the indecent, unable, or the usual suck-ons. And then you have bureaucrats that are going to make everything utopia. But how does it really work? Just like Chirac.
Now to a story you'll see only on Fox 9. The city of Minneapolis did not inspect a single public housing unit for nearly 30 years.
And that is all despite the...
What? Wait a minute. Public housing unit, where the people are forced to live in squalor and you tell them it's good for them. Where you pretend you're giving housing to the deserved. And you mean to tell me you have no idea? You didn't go in 30 years. How many bureaucrats retired in the same time span from this bureaucracy that never went to work?
Now to a story you'll see only on Fox 9. The city of Minneapolis did not inspect a single public housing unit for nearly 30 years.
And that is all despite the city's own ordinance requiring it to do so. These revelations come from a pair of lawsuits from two tenants who say that they lived in those poor conditions. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni joining us now. And so, Mike, an appeals court says even after it put the city on notice years ago, it didn't change its ways.
And the court ruled in 2020 that the city must inspect public housing units just like it inspects private rental properties.
And what happens? What's the result? More taxes, constant taxes and taxes and taxes. What would the founders say? What would the founders say about Minnesota elected officials, corrupt lawyers inside the bureaucracy running a sex ring and a Medicare fraud ring? What would the founders say?
Well, the primary came and went last week, so the stage is set for November after the election just came and went without any issue.
And then what happened?
We can now add Medicaid fraud to the list of accusations against 4 people arrested for their alleged roles in Hennepin County's sex trafficking scheme. The suspects include a now former Anoka County prosecutor.
Fox 9's Corin Hondren spent the day putting together the pieces of this puzzle. He now joins us from Minneapolis. It is complicated, Corin, so investigators called the sex trafficking operation sophisticated. You uncovered the element of fraud that's now involved in this as well.
Yeah, it's real sophisticated. A crooked prosecutor ran a sex trafficking ring, the whole time partnering up to steal Medicaid. What would the founders say? In the meantime, who is he rallying against? He rallies against the only president that gave the people who earned their money their own money.
We did not have the Trump administration. You didn't have a Republican-led Congress. You would have seen $4 trillion tax increase. Because if we didn't pass that one big, beautiful bill, you would have seen the largest tax increase on the American population than we've ever had in our American history. So I think that's one thing to take notice of.
So I want to answer John Ossoff.
Just think, 250 years on, what the founders would see if they visited us today.
They would say, thank God for Donald Trump. 312-642-5600.
Broadcasting from the petri dish of corruption known as the state of Illinois.
In the upper Midwest, the nation, and around the world.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.